snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hi guys! So this is part 2 of my science fiction and fantasy books that I am excited for that are coming out in the next 6 months. I've already done part 1 where I spoke about books from June up till early September, so if you haven't seen that I'll link it and go and check it out and you can tell me if there are any there that you're super excited about. I think there are a lot of good choices coming out, but this section is going to be from September to December with even more science fiction and fantasy books that I am really excited to read. So let's get started. The first one I have to talk to you about has been a highly anticipated read for pretty much everyone I know who reads fantasy for a very long time. That one is the third one in this series, which is the Gentleman Bastard series by Scott Lynch, the first one being Lies of Locke Lamora. I read this a long time ago now, good few years, and then I powered through the second book and the third, which I have on my Kindle. I really enjoy this series, I think it's fantastic, and finally the fourth book is being released this year in September. I cannot wait to go back and rejoin Jean and Locke because they are fantastic characters. They are kind of mercenary thieves who are kind of a duo, kind of a band of mercenary thieves. Together they get into all sorts of adventures and trouble, and I cannot wait to see what Scott Lynch has done in the next one, because each of the stories that he releases kind of feels a little bit like it's self-contained adventure. Each of them feels quite different to the previous, but of course they have continuing threads throughout the story, and I can't wait to go back to these characters and hopefully really enjoy whatever they end up doing next. It comes out on September the 22nd, and I'll certainly be getting a copy very soon after it comes out. My birthday's the 26th, so I'm hopeful that I can get myself a little sneaky early birthday present by getting it. So I can't wait for that. Definitely one I am hugely anticipating. The next one on my list is also another one by an author I've previously read, and this is Laini Taylor. I've read Daughter of Smoke and Bone series before. I've read the first 2. I haven't actually read the third one yet. I need to do that. I've read the first and second and I enjoyed them. This is the start of, I think, a new series, and this one is called Strange the Dreamer. I believe this is a duology, or it's planned to be a duology, and it comes out on September 29th in the UK. I think you'll all agree the UK cover is absolutely gorgeous. I love the look of this, and I cannot wait to have a physical copy in my hands because it's so beautiful. But besides that, it does sound like an interesting story too. I'm not sure if this is adult or YA, because I think her last series kind of crossed that border a little bit, but I'm very intrigued. It says that this is all about the aftermath of a war between gods and men, the mysterious city with a name that no one knows, a mythic hero with blood on his hands, and a librarian. There's a girl who is every bit as perilous as she imagined, and there's also alchemy and blood candy, whatever that sounds like, nightmares and godspawn, moths and monsters, friendship and treachery, and love and change. So there's a lot going on in this book, it sounds like. Definitely one I'm intrigued by. Certainly Laini Taylor has a beautiful way of writing. She writes quite lyrically. The cover is even more of an attraction. So this comes out on September the 29th and I will be looking out for it. The next one I have on my list should be no surprise to anyone. It is the second one in the illustrated Harry Potter editions. This is written by J.K. Rowling, but it is illustrated by Jim Kay, and the second one, The Chamber of Secrets, is coming out on October the 4th of 2016. Of course, I adored the first one in this illustrated series. It was fantastic. It gave me a chance to reread the whole series, which I loved, and it also gave me a chance to reimagine the series and see Jim Kay's fantastic artwork gracing the pages of this book and making it all come to life right in front of my eyes. It was a new reading experience, one I absolutely adored, and I cannot wait to read book 2 in the series with all the fresh new illustrations. So October 4th, this one comes out. The next one I have on my list is another sequel, and it is the sequel to Illuminate, which is written by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. This series was a fantastically crazy, rip-roaring, fast, furious science fiction told in document format, which was pretty cool. It had a talking AI and a lot of love and romance, and it was genuinely a story that I flew through and loved. The second one is called Jimena, or Jimena, I'm not sure how you say it, and this one is also told in the same format, so that it's got lots of different formatting, lots of different documents and style of writing. It sounds really cool. I believe this follows maybe different characters, and also it's set on a space station as far as I know, so that's pretty interesting. I'm definitely intrigued by this. I certainly loved the first one, so I'm sure that the second one will hopefully be as good. Fingers crossed. This comes out on October the 13th, and I can't wait to try it out. Another one which is not a sequel as such, but it's kind of set in the same universe. This is a standalone, and it's written by Becky Chambers. It's called A Close and Common Orbit. You guys probably know that The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet was one of my absolute top favourites of the year last year. I adored it. It was so well written and so fantastic and so lovable and happy and emotional, and it was just marvellous. So this is a kind of sequel, more of a companion novel, which focuses on some of the same characters but mostly new ones, and it's set in the same universe, so we get to travel around more of the different alien races and find out a bit more about what's happening there. I don't know an awful lot more than that, but it sounds fantastic. Becky Chambers seemed like a fantastic writer from book one. Hopefully she can carry that over into book two, and I will adore it just as much. So we shall see. The cover is just as beautiful, so that's always a plus. And this comes out on October 20th, so I cannot wait to read this. I'm so very excited. The next one I have is also a sequel, although it is quite long awaited, because I believe this is the fourth one in a series which actually has 5 books, but one is a prequel, so it will be the 5th one published in the same series, but the 4th book chronologically in the main series, because the one that came out last was a prequel. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Anyway, the series I'm talking about is the Abhorsen series, which is by Garth Nix. For some reason I can only find the second one. I'm sure I have the first one somewhere, but I don't know where. This is Lyriel. The first one is called Sabriel, the third is called Abhorsen. There was a prequel release called Clariel, which I haven't read because I've heard not great things about it, but there is now going to be a 4th one in the main series, which is called Golden Hand, and that's the one that I am excited about and that comes out later this year. I believe that this goes back to some of the characters that we met in the first 3 books. I can't wait to return to this world and find out a bit more about them, because I really loved this series when I was younger. It's been quite a while since I read it, but I can still remember some of the ideas within this, and some of them are seriously pretty cool. So I hope that this book lives up to what I remember it being, and hopefully it doesn't flop or turn out to be a little bit less than expected like I've heard the prequel was. So we'll see, but I have my fingers crossed and I'm hopeful. This comes out on October 20th as well, so I'll keep my eyes peeled for when it comes out. The next one I have on this list is also a novella, and it's being released by Tor.com. This one is by an author that I haven't read before, but I am always very intrigued by the Tor.com novellas, and I always think they choose pretty good people. This is called A Taste of Honey, and it's by Kai Ashante Wilson. I hear that this is set in a world where there are dragons. It's also set in a world where people kind of rule over it, godlike way, I believe. We follow the son of the Master of Beasts, who falls in love with a soldier and doesn't know if their love can survive, whether they're going to be able to make it work in such a crazy world where there is a lot of political situation going on. It sounds really super sweet, and I'm hopeful that I'll really like it, because I do tend to like worlds with dragons. We'll see what happens, but it's super short as it's a novella, and this comes out on October the 25th, so I'm sure I will check it out once it is out. The next one I am eagerly anticipating is probably my most anticipated book for the next 6 months, which is a pretty big thing to say because there are so many I'm super excited about, like Thorn of Emberlane, Closed and Common Orbit. So many books that I'm super excited about are coming out, but this one I would say is probably the one I'm most excited for, just because the series was left on such a cliffhanger when I finished book 3. So this is book 4. The first one in this series is Black Prism. It is the Lightbringer series by Brent Weeks. The 4th book is coming out. It is called The Blood Mirror, and this one I am so eager to find out what's going to happen next. It's set in a world where colours are the main source of magic. It's quite a complicated magic system, but I've done a full review of this, so I'll link it and you can go and check that out if you want to know a bit more about the series. Genuinely one of my favourite series of fantasy, one of the ones I'm most excited to get back into, find out what's going to happen next, because I need to know. I've been waiting for so long to find out what's going to happen next, and I need to know. This comes out on October 27th, and you can guarantee if I haven't got an advance copy, I will be there on the day buying it, because I am so eager to find out what is going to happen next with this story. So much drama, so much excitement. Cannot wait. Speaking of continuing on with series, another one that is also the 4th book in a series and is coming out very soon, which is the 4th one in the Traitor Sun series, or Traitor Sun cycle I think it might be. This is by Miles Cameron. I've read the first 3 in this series, absolutely loved the first one. The second and third were great as well, and now the 4th one is due to come out later this year. This one is called Plague of Swords, and I believe this comes out on October 27th as well, so it's going to be a pretty great release day on October 27th. 2 4th books in a series that no one but me will have read, because no one else has got this far in the series, but I have, and I love them, and I think they're fantastic, so I will be picking them up, you can guarantee that. It's a fantastic series about various multiple characters. It's quite complicated, but if you can wrap your head around who they all are, then this is fantastically written. Great battle scenes, which I don't often say, and has some really interesting magical ideas. It's just fabulous, so can't wait for this. Certainly will be checking it out ASAP. The next one on my list is actually an anthology, which is pretty awesome. I am very intrigued by this anthology. It is called Invisible Planet, Contemporary Chinese Science Fiction and Fantasy in Translation, and it's been translated by Ken Liu, who's done quite a lot of translations for Chinese fiction. He translated The Three-Body Problem by Cixin Liu, which I read and really enjoyed. He's a great translator, and apparently he's written a few books of his own as well now, so I'm definitely interested in reading this anthology. I'm always open to discovering new authors from various parts of the world that I haven't read before. China is one of those, and hopefully this will give some really fresh ideas on SFF because of the Chinese heritage and Chinese history that might be in some of these stories. I don't know who the Chinese authors are that have contributed, but I'm very eager to pick this one up and hopefully discover some great new writers. So that would be excellent, and this comes out on November the 1st. The next one on my list is also coming out on November the 1st, and this is another Tor.com novella. This one is written by an author who I have read before, and that is Bradley Bolio. This is 12 Kings by him, the first one in a new series. I've also read the first 2 in his Lays of Anuskaya series, so I've read a couple of his books and really enjoyed them all. This is a novella though. I haven't seen what he does in novella form, so I'm very intrigued about that, and it is called The Burning Light. As far as I know, he authored this with another person as well, who is called Rob Ziegler, so they worked on this together, and this one apparently is set in a world where this thing called light has kind of taken over, and it has stopped humans from being able to connect to the mind network, which is something that humanity hugely relies on in this era. We follow a main character called Chu, who has apparently lost everything she cares about thanks to the light, and so she is determined that she has to stop this threat or die trying. The other main character that we have is called Zola, and she is apparently kind of a light addict. She's very powerful and controls lots of ships with just her mind, but she heavily relies on the light and it relies on her, and she is being tracked down by Chu. So I guess it's their story of the two of them and how they meet and what happens when they do. I'm very intrigued. It sounds more like science fiction than it does fantasy, so I haven't seen Bradley Bolio try his hand at that, and I haven't seen this new author. Very excited about it. Hopefully it's one that I really end up liking. This one comes out on November the 1st as well. The next one I have is actually a continuation of a series of novellas. So the first one in that series is The Witches of Lithfurd by Paul Cornell, which I have read. This is a Tor.com novella in print, which I love. I love the way they do these, they're so beautiful. And I really enjoyed this. I'd never heard of Paul Cornell before reading it, but it was a really fun story, quite an easy read, and definitely one I liked a lot. So when I heard that there is a sequel coming out, which I didn't even know until very recently, it is called The Lost Child of Lithfurd. I definitely have to pick this one up because I've already got the first one, I really enjoyed it, and I didn't even know there was going to be a sequel. So I can't wait to try it out and see what he brings to the story after the ending of this one, because I thought it worked as a standalone, but there was a lot hinted at that we didn't see, so I think maybe he's going to bring some of that into the story, and I really think it's going to be a good one. So fingers crossed it is, and this also comes out in November on the 22nd from Tor.com. Final one that I have to talk to you guys about is again another fourth one in a series, and that series is The Faithful and the Fallen series, which is by John Gwynne. This is a fairly classic fantasy series, but it has some excellent writing and some definitely cool plot twists. I've read book 1 and 2, I have book 3 and I'm definitely eager to read it very soon, and book 4, called Wrath, is coming out at the very end of this year in December. I certainly want to pick this one up because I have loved all the books in this series so far. I think I gave the first one 4 or 4.5 and the second one 5. Really eager to go on to the third one very soon when I get the time, and I'm sure the fourth will be fantastic as well. I think there's either 4 or 5 in this series, so it might be the last one. The cover is beautiful of all of these, I'm sure you'll agree, and I can't wait to see what happens in the next instalment. So those are all of the books that I am eagerly anticipating from early September to December. If you have any others that I've missed during that time period, then definitely let me know, because I'm always eager to add more to my list and find out about new authors or authors that I already know about and I just didn't realise they're releasing new stuff. Leave me all your comments down below about the ones you're excited for. I have quite a lot of books that I'm also excited for in 2017, but I'm going to wait to talk about those ones until a lot closer to the time, because they're a way off and the publishing dates of those might completely change between now and then. So I will leave them for another time, but do let me know all of your thoughts about which ones you're excited about and which ones I need to keep my eye open for. Thank you all for watching. I will see you all very soon in another video. Bye!
Thank you for watching my video today. Go pick up a book, then come back and chat with me again.